I've done a lot of riding to get here, and I still have to go back up that. I did it! Yay! So this is one that I've obviously always wanted to do. when Adam always spoke about Mallorca cycling, it's obviously one of the iconic kind of climbs that if you're there, it's on the checklist. You have to do it. There are a few things that I learnt the hard way about it, which again, if I go back, which I'm hoping to, I'll kind of know about it in advance so I can prep myself mentally for it. Just because there was things like, obviously when people talk about that climb that you think, yeah, I'll go and do it myself, they don't mention that how to get there. You know, I've climbed up to ice and things, and when you climb up the ice, you can drive either to the bottom of it, or we stay at the top of it, so we normally like cycle down, whereas you have to cycle to the Calobra climb. So you know, one of our previous videos, there's the look climb. You have to do that climb before you actually get to the climb of the Calobra. So I would definitely just bear that in mind. It was actually quite a good idea. What we did was we did that climb before and the day before, and then went down, so I kind of knew what I was expecting. We also left quite early in the morning. Definitely recommend, because it does get quite busy, but that climb, the look climb, is a lot nicer when it's not absolutely roasting hot. I found it, maybe it was this I was doing it the second time as well, so I knew in my head like where I was on the climb. So there is quite a lot of climbing before you actually get to the top of that climb. When you've done the look climb, you then turn off to the right and go through this like a lovely balcony ride. There's incredible views the whole way, so you won't get bored or anything. It's really lovely. But it is quite undulating, and then you pass a little cafe, which that guy's a legend. He's like got freshly squeezed orange juice, he does paninis, he's got a bag of Haribos, stuff like that. But yeah, you pass that little cafe, and then you do a little climb called, I think it's, I want to pronounce it as called the Reese, I think, or yes, Reese, I think it's Reese. It's actually quite a little steep one. Actually, it's short, but it is a little bit like, ooh, unexpected. And that's you then onto the top of the descent down onto the Calobra climb. So yeah, it's coming around that top bit and then seeing that iconic loop. It was quite exciting, and the view is absolutely amazing. You can see all the road as it's going down, and you can see the sea in the distance. One thing I did do was, when on that descent, you feel like you're descending for hours. I was like, how long have we been descending? Which kind of freaked me out a bit, because I was just knowing I've done a lot of riding to get here, and I still have to go back up that. And obviously it was the first kind of climbing of, like, we haven't done a lot of climbing just with the weather here, and you don't get those kind of climbs here. So I was a little bit nervous, and I'm not going to lie. So we descended all the way to the bottom. Again, felt like hours, but it is so lovely, and you can kind of see and remember what you've come down, so you know how long you've got to go up. But I did freak myself out a little bit. At the bottom's lovely, there's like little restaurants and cafes, stuff like that, and then there's, apparently you can get a boat if you want to get a boat with your bike, and you can get into the little harbour down there and start from the bottom from the boat. I've heard a few people doing that. I don't know what times they kind of set off. There wasn't any sight of it when we were there, but again, we left really early just to avoid traffic. Because one thing I would recommend is going early purely just to miss the buses. From the video footage you can see there wasn't that much traffic on our way down, so we didn't get held up or we didn't have to avoid buses or anything. But coming back up, by the time we were getting up to the top couple of bends, there were a lot of big coaches coming down. So there's buses that come down that freaks me out. But if you don't want to really have to, if you know, I get a little bit nervous with buses just in cars on those kind of climbs, but I would just recommend, yeah, leave it a little bit earlier. The climb itself is actually not bad. I mean, I mentally was absolutely freaked out. As I said, the descent just seemed like to go on forever. But the first bit, I come back out the harbour, there's a little steep climb up onto the road, but after that you go over some little road bikes, and that's where the segment actually starts. It's quite a gentle start, and then you come up between those two rocks and go in between. It's really lovely. Again, we early, so it wasn't too hot. A little bit forestry kind of roads, almost like you're in amongst the trees at the bottom, and then that's when you get up into the open and you hit those iconic switchbacks. But considering I've done things like Alpe d'Huez and a lot of the French Alps, I actually think these are a little bit less steep and they're more rolling, so it's actually a really enjoyable climb once you get out your own head. So just, yeah, don't, just take it as switchback by switchback. That's what I did. And then, I always like pick off little people as I see them. I'm like, right, that guy's next, and I just kind of toddle myself up. And then you get halfway up, we kind of saw, met, that's when we started meeting the traffic, so that must have been about 9 o'clock, I think. That's where the buses started to come down. They're not like drivers here in the UK. They are very patient and they're actually quite lovely, so they do give space. The buses are really good. They wait until you come round the bends and stuff, so it's not like you've got to jump to avoid them or anything. It's just that they're quite big, and for us who don't do that type of roads a lot, it can be quite nerve-wracking, but there's nothing to worry about. Just bring plenty of water as well. I mean, there's places to buy. There's a cafe at the top of the climb, so you can get some refreshments, but because we were early, the cafes and stuff weren't really open at the bottom, so if you want to make sure you've got enough food, that's definitely something I would recommend. We had enough water, so it was fine. My favourite bit was coming up when we get to the very top and you do that iconic loop, which Adam filmed. He raced up to kind of film me coming up it. He was really good as well. He sat with my pace all the way up. Again, because I didn't know the climb, I didn't know how to really pace it. It was really distorted in my mind because of that descent. I thought it's going to take us ages, but actually it didn't take that long to get up at all. So I think next time I'll be a little bit more confident and I'll kind of push myself a little bit more. I just wanted to pace it so I didn't kind of bonk by the time I got to the top. And then you just go back. We took the way that we came back in, so back down the Col de Reese, and then we stopped at that wee man's cafe, little shop there. He's got like fresh orange, so it's perfect. And I bought a little bag of Haribo's, and Adam, I think, had some like pastry or a little cake or something. And that at that junction, that's when you can go and do some other routes. So there's, it's quite a little hub for cyclists. It's just swarming with cyclists, which again, on our way back, there was just so many people coming to do it. So I'm glad that we left early. Then you would obviously go back along to the climb up from what we did to get there, the loop climb. Again, it's a little bit undulating, so you've got to keep a little bit of reserves to get up those little climbs. But that loop descent is absolutely amazing. The road is just wide, it was sunny, and there's no potholes. Like, Edinburgh is the worst. I don't know anywhere about your areas, but the roads here are absolutely just in bits. So to come flying, I mean, we had a headwind as well, and we were flying down that descent, I think at like 48 kilometers an hour or something. But it's just absolutely amazing, just rolling down, and then it's pretty much straight at the very bottom. You just keep going straight back down into Port Pollensa. So yeah, a nice easy kind of, well, not easy day, but it wasn't as daunting as I thought or had in my head. Just, I would definitely, because I'd not done it and I'd heard about the climb but I didn't actually know where it was, I was like, oh, there is actually a lot of climbing, so that's definitely one thing to bear in mind. Again, hit it early if you can. There are buses as well that take you to the top, so don't worry if you can't do that type of climbing before to get that climb. There's buses that they put on, so you can research that. I think they leave from Port Pollensa, I'm not sure, but yeah, there's buses that'll take you to the top of the climb, or there's a boat that you can get from the bottom and then climb up and then cycle back. But yeah, so there's lots of options. I think it's open to everyone, but I would definitely recommend hitting it early. But I'm definitely doing it again. Just loved it. That's it for this video. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. Look out for more videos coming soon. In the meantime, you can check out my Instagram @JennyCycles for more bike related stuff. Thanks for watching.